There are new cards on the Steam survey top 3, and since they are the most used cards by all the people on the Steam survey, we've got the RTX 3060 here on the left, we've also got the RTX 2060 on the middle, it's the Asus version 6GB, and we also got the GTX 1060 6GB. The first one we are going to try is the GTX 1060, it's the slower one, but let's see, like most people still have it, and it was one of the winners not too long ago. And yeah, let's see. Are you tired about the Windows activation message? Scroll down to the description and click on the first link. You can get a Windows key for as low as €8.99 and use the code GAMESUP for 10% off and get activated in seconds. The first game will be the Battlefield 2042. We will go with 1080p, lowest settings. The settings will be in the screen for you guys, by the way. In total we've got an average of 68 frames per second and a 0.1% lows of 35, so it was a really nice performance for this card, like, and it's really an old card. It was launched like long, I think it was 2016 or 2017, I'm not truly right, but I think it's 2016, and it still performs decently, as you guys can see. Next one on the list is Call of Duty, and this card is also able to play this game. As you guys can see, we are on the lowest settings, 1080p again, with an average FPS of 72 and a 0.1% low of 50 frames. This really tells us that this card is still very capable in these days, still at 2023. And it still has something to offer with its 6GB. Of course, if you have the 3GB, it's not going to be so good, but yeah. In Cyberpunk, we were not able to get 60 FPS, as you guys can see. We were on the low settings. Maybe if I activated FSR on quality or even lower, we would be able to get 60 FPS, but I was pretty happy with the performance on the lower settings. 1080p with like 47 average FPS is not so bad. And it felt smooth, so, and a 0.1% low of 31, which is pretty nice too. Next up we got Hogwarts Legacy with 1080p again, and the lowest settings, we got an average of 59. This time we were able to get, like, okay, it's not 60, but you guys know what I mean, like 59, it's 60. And we got a 0.1% low of 30, which is pretty good too. I was actually impressed by the performance of the 1060 in this game, because this game is actually very heavy, even on the lowest settings though. Now we've got Red Dead Redemption 2. Actually, I didn't place this in the lowest settings, we got it on 1080p, as all the games in this video, but I placed the medium settings, as you guys can see. I could have placed a little bit lower to get a bigger average. We got an average of 52 and a 0.1% low of 17, which is not the best, but it's okay, I guess. It's not the worst too. Last but not least, we got The Last of Us Part 1. A very intensive game too, as you guys can see. On the lowest settings we can only get an average of 48, which, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it's okay, I guess. And a 0.1% low of 32, at least that is kinda consistent. Not there are no like big difference or like a big spike, and yeah, I mean, it's playable, and this card can still perform well in these times, which is kinda like incredible. Okay, so it's the low settings, but still. Now the next one we got is the RTX 2060. As you guys can see, I've got the Asus version, and it is the 6GB model. And let's see how it goes. In Battlefield 2042, maintaining the settings that we had with the 1060, we are able to get more FPS, as you guys can see. I think with the 1060 we were getting what, like 70 FPS maybe, or 60 something. Right now we are able to get 91 average and 0.1% lows of 19. It's the lowest that we've got, and yeah, it performs very nice still. In MW2, maintaining the same settings as the 1060, the 1080p and the lowest settings, we are able to get an average of 138, which is really good, man. If you have, for example, a 144 Hz monitor, you are able to get close to that performance, only like, what, 8 or 6 FPS away, and you get a 0.1% low of 97, which is also pretty damn good. So yeah, even on the new Call of Duty, it performs decently, which is very nice. Now in Cyberpunk 2070, we are going with 1080p, and actually now we're going with medium settings. As you guys can see, I will leave always the settings on the screen for you guys. And we are actually getting 68 FPS on average, which is pretty nice. and a 0.1% low of 39. This card, even in this game is very heavy, like even in this game it can still perform very well, which tells me that even the 2060 it's a good card still, as you guys can see. Next up we got Hogwarts Legacy with 1080p, and we are actually able to get high settings in this game, and we get an average of 67 FPS. Maybe if you are like in a town or something it could go down a little bit, but still it's pretty nice getting this type of performance even on like a forest. And we get a 0.1% low of 35, average FPS of 67. The gameplay is very smooth, and this game is very heavy. Make sure that you have a good CPU and a good amount of RAM, because look at the RAM usage, it's a lot. Next up we got Red Dead Redemption. As you guys can see, we're going with 1080p medium plus settings. I placed medium plus, why? Because in the 1060 I think we had medium too, but here it's a little bit higher, so I called it medium plus. It's not the actual preset, but you guys know what I mean. And yeah, we got an average of 54 FPS, as I said in the 1060. If you guys want more FPS, maybe you can just place some settings a little bit down to get like 60. And yeah, we get an average FPS of 54 and a 0.1% low of 42. This 0.1% low really worked well with the 1060. In The Last of Us Part 1, I actually activated DLSS on quality. As you guys can see, I think it's a good idea in this game. I was able to place the settings at medium, and we are able to get an average FPS of 62 and a 0.1% low of 30. I think it's worth it to place the DLSS here, and like in other titles you can also place. I didn't place, but if you guys wanted to get a little boost, you can do it. And yeah, even on this game that released like very recently, you guys can still perform very well with this card. And the 1062, it's just not this one, but the 1060 also performed well in here. And now the card that most people were waiting for, the card that is most used overall, is the RTX 3060. As you guys can see, the EVGA version. We've got Battlefield 2042 with the RTX 3060 now, and we are able to get an average of 90 FPS and a 0.1% low of 15, which is a little bit low compared to the other cards, I think, and lower settings and 1080p. And by the way, guys, this can also vary from the map you are playing on, from the amount of people, the mode that you are playing on. If I'm not wrong, I think we've got similar performance with the 2060, but like it also depends on where you are, like in the map and stuff like that. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Next up on the list, we've got MW2 with RTX 3060. As you guys can see, 1080p with the lowest settings, and we've got a really nice average FPS of 158 frames and a 0.1% low of 92, which is also like really nice. The gameplay is very smooth, and yeah, in general, I mean, it was expected, right? This card is pretty damn good. Now we've got Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p and now ultra settings. We can get an average FPS of 56, basically 60, and a 0.1% low of 34 FPS. A really smooth gameplay too. And considering this game is very heavy, I'm not using ray tracing. I don't think it would be good. Maybe if you place some settings down and activate ray tracing, but still I don't think it's worth it. Just go with the settings and you will be really fine. We've got Hogwarts Legacy now, as you guys can see, 1080p and ultra settings again. This card is actually able to get a 60 FPS, 63 in this case, average FPS, and a low 0.1% low, of 37 FPS. So this card, even it being like a 60 card, it is still able to give us ultra in recent games, which is very impressive also. Red Dead Redemption 2, the next game on the list, we are able to get an average FPS of 73 with ultra settings, which is really good too. As you guys can see, we are basically with the maximum settings, unless the ones down there that are locked. Those ones really mess around a lot with the frames. And yeah, 0.1% percent low of 26 frames too. My horse died there, as you guys can see. My horse didn't get lucky. And yeah, guys, pretty nice performance again. This card really is impressing me. And the last game that we have on the list is actually The Last of Us Part 1 with the high settings, 1080p with an average FPS of 63 and 0.1% low of 43, which is really nice again. This card really is bringing some really nice performance, and for the price that it's now, I think it's a good buy, to be honest. And like it also already reflects, as you guys can see, like being the main one being used. I know like some people have been saying that is like because of the internet cafes in China, and I believe that, but still it really tells us that they are good cards. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments what do you think. If you own any of these cards too, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.